5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Hi.
What's happening?
Not much.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, and it's someone who I wanted to have on the podcast for quite a long time. So, welcome.
Thanks.
Do you want to tell the audience who you are and why you're here?
I'm here because Jeff asked me to be here. My name is Kim Rodrigo. I am a salon owner and a macronutrient nutrition coach. That's a new one.
Yep. So unpack that for us. What does that look like? How do you help? Because, you know, Brett, we've actually had these conversations quite a bit. I'm fat and obese according to my BMI chart. Morbidly obese, mind
Morbidly
you.
obese.
Morbidly
Yeah.
obese. And I'm pretty sure if there's another word they could tack onto that, I'm sure they just don't say it. But Brett has been pretty honest about his weight loss surgery and his. Could you ever picture this guy to be over 300 pounds?
No.
Yeah, and we talk about this on the podcast a lot, but I knew Brett for years and years and years and years, and there was a span of time where I didn't see him, and then I saw him again, so I never saw the big Brett.
The pinnacle.
Yeah, the big man. So when I saw him, he looked like this again, and that's how I basically saw him before that. So I was like, what are you talking about? And he had to show me pictures.
Yeah, I think you'd seen me a couple times at work, and I was, probably a shade over two, maybe just a little bigger than I am now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got just over 300 pounds, and
And I think there's a lot of people out there that just have an unhealthy relationship, me, with food. And when I'm stressed, I eat. When I feel good, I eat. And being raised in the house that I did, everything was manja. Just keep eating, and if you're not feeling well, here's a big bowl of spaghetti, so I fluctuated a lot in my time. I had an intestinal issue that I lost. I went from 257 down to 189 because I was deathly afraid of eating, but I was eating the wrong things that got me to that point.
Yeah.
So I think this podcast is going to touch a lot of people, and I'm really super excited about having you on so we can talk about some of these things and really how you can help people and what your role is in that. So, start from the beginning. How'd you get started in this?
Monitoring macros can work for you too, Jeff.
I have.
We talk about. I corner them in the.
I have the app, but the problem is I can drop pounds pretty quick, but one wrong weekend, and it's all back.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about what that wrong weekend
I don't understand what I'm doing
like.
wrong.
So, it's for me, food. I mean, for everybody, food starts at the beginning, right? My mom was morbidly obese. My entire life until about 20 years ago, she had gastric bypass. So when I think about it, and I've thought about it a lot, about how this goes wrong, I feel like for most women my age, a little younger and a lot older, the diet culture that we were raised in consisted on watching the women in our lives, the ones that we admired the most, our moms, just struggle hard. Mm-hmm. I don't remember a time in my childhood that there wasn't like a powder or a shake or a weight loss seminar or I'm going to hypnotize myself or I'm going to get my jaw wired shut or a Weight Watchers or Curves or it was the culture I was brought up in. And from a really early age, like my earliest memory of my mom is being so little that I would climb up on her and she would rock me in a rocking chair. And I just felt like I didn't know she was fat. I thought that she was the safest place that I could ever be. And nothing ever felt better than being hugged by her, loved her. And when she hugged me, I felt more of her in a positive way. Like I always felt like she would like engulf me and that was just love.
Yeah.
And then when you as you grow up and you start to see how much she hated herself, it was really hard. It was a really hard thing to, maneuver. And I don't think it always comes out until, obviously way later when you look at your own relationship with food and then you think about like, why? I mean, it's pretty clear when you actually, look at it. But yeah, she told me crazy stories that she would go, somebody had told her to go to Overeaters Anonymous one time. And they would go to this meeting and sit around a circle. You would weigh yourself. And if you weighed more, they would oink at you. The entire group.
Oh, that's not scarring at all.
No.
And so just terrible, horrible things.
That's society for you,
Yeah.
And so it was just always, I was a really active kid. I'd never had a weight problem. I never had a problem with food, but just seeing that, it was just, it was very clear that food was a problem. Mm-hmm. And so I was super active. I was a cheerleader. I did basketball. I did soccer. I did softball. When I graduated high school, decided, I did start to gain a little bit of weight. Your freshman 15, I think they say, although I was at home. But I was still going out. You start drinking, you start eating late night. I ended up moving to Boston to go to cosmetology school. And that is something that like threw me in a whole different environment. I didn't know anyone. My best friend who I moved there with, she had friends there from school. So I was just like infiltrating their friend group, but I didn't really have any friends. So it was this huge like loss of control, starting to gain weight, not knowing, I never had to diet before. I didn't know how to control it. I didn't know how to stop it. It felt like, I just didn't really know what to do. And so the entire year that I lived in Boston, I started this cycle of restricting food, restricting so much because that's what you did, right? You didn't want to eat. Food was the enemy. It was making me fat. Restrict so much that I ended up like not being able to control myself. I would binge and then I would make myself throw up.
Oh, wow.
For an entire year. And it became just this, I could not control it anymore. Once you would do that, you would say to yourself, the guilt, the shame, how could I be one of those people? This is the last time I'm going to do this. This is the last time this is going to happen. And now I'm going to start fresh and I'm going to not eat as much. And it's like this perpetual, I couldn't break it.
It didn't work last time or the last time before that, but it's going to work this time.
It's going to work this time. Okay, I did that. I got it out of my system. I'll be better this time.
And to us, that's normal. That's normal thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it just perpetuated the cycle, and it didn't break until I moved home in a year. And then for some reason, getting out of that situation completely allowed me to kind of like just snap back into it a little bit, where I did stop that, but I still, up until I was 39 years old, like maybe a year ago, I just realized that you are not supposed to live your life on a diet.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the way you're supposed to live every day.
You're supposed to eat the right stuff all the time in reasonable quantities and get some exercise. Like but everybody's, it's a lot of it's routine and habit. Like you said, you broke that routine by changing the environment.
Yes.
And like I see it now with, I've put on weight since, my lightest after my surgery. And I'm, totally self-reflective. I'm like, well, now I see exactly what habits, exactly what routines, messed me up in the first place. It's not this, and this, it's these things. So then I just have to figure out how to control those. But, we're such creatures of habit, and, men are under a little bit less societal pressure. And, some of us like me, I just don't give a shit, what society tells me to do. But that's like the real thing, especially with social media being so, so big, and that's all people see is like, the perfect people on social media, and usually they're selling something, and, like there's always a flavor of the month. This is going to work for you. I mean, you, I'm sure know way more about it than I do because it's what you're doing, but macronutrients, just monitoring, what you're eating in the right portions of the right things, and your body just falls into line.
Yes. So there's also a system to it as far as, it's nutritional periodization. It's not a diet all year round. It's maintenance, which is your calories that are set up for you to just like maintain. That's your maintenance. There is a deficit, a cut, a diet, but that is only meant to be a certain period of time throughout the year. It's meant to get in, lose fat, and get out. You don't stay there. There's a bulk. If you're trying to actually build muscle, you kind of need to go into a surplus or a bulk before you can then cut and shed the fat that you've built over the muscle, so that's revealed. But the majority of your life is lived at maintenance.
And you just broke down into like 3 different categories, right?
Pretty much.
And
yep.
then you just, depending on whether it's bulk cut, you just kind
Your
of
goals.
you throttle those up or down. So I probably imagine more proteins if you're bulking, and probably even some higher carbohydrates.
Everything is pretty much
everything's
higher.
because you need the extra calories and the
Right.
extra protein for the the back end building.
Yeah. But it works in this. When you actually understand it, it works in such a beautiful like. It clicks. It makes sense. You're like, oh, this is totally the way that it was supposed to be done. Like going into the gym and actually eating so that I can fuel my body, it can work out efficiently, is much different than not eating and then going to the gym and doing cardio for hours, with no fuel, nothing in there. You're just burning an empty, then coming home, getting no sleep.
Yeah, and you can only do that so long because your body knows that you're in too much of a deficit, and then it just starts shutting shit down. And it's
and then you have adaptations of your metabolism, so that I have yet to put anybody that I've coached thus far on a diet yet.
Because you don't need to. As soon as you're eating that balanced meal, you're just start dropping pounds because.
So my mom has lost 15 pounds from eating more food. Every woman that I have had, and that's probably a good 10 clients, has been under eating a lot. And when I'll give them like 1,800 calories, which is it's not a lot. It's not a little bit. It's
the 2,000 calorie diet is tough.
And they're like, I can't, Kim, are you really making me eat all this food? What do you, I'm eating all day long. I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah.
You're complaining. My mom, we just started a deficit with her after like a long time of building this up. She's a little different because of the calories that she can consume. But begs me every day, can we go on a diet? Can I cut yet? Can I cut? I'm like,
yeah, it's that deficit mentality.
So is it because again, there's physical limitations in how much she can consume at one point, right? Because she had surgery.
Yeah.
So is it because she just mentally feels like she's eating too much because she's always eating, or is it really just too much food? And I guess that's probably a bad example because of the like the other people who are eating, the other clients who are eating more. Is it a mental thing? Like I just feel like because I'm constantly eating, I must be eating too much.
Yes. And also too, like they're not used to, like how many people say, I completely believe that everyone is different. And throughout this journey as you learn more things about nutrition and food, like you have to have the self-awareness, like you talked about what works for you, what, you have to be able to look at yourself and say, well, this doesn't work for me, but this does. And how do I, how can I maneuver this and switch things around? And how do I operate efficiently the best, And when people they get so set in their ways of, well, I don't eat breakfast. I can't work out in the morning. I can't, I don't do this. I don't, and it's like, you have to kind of can we start to eat in the morning? Like a little bit, even if it's a banana and a rice cake, you are like one egg and toast.
Obviously that strategy is not working.
It's not working.
Let's try a different strategy.
And it's the point of like, they'll say to me, I binge at night. I'm not hungry all day. Well, you're not hungry all day because you're not eating all day. And so now your body is just used to the fact that you eat at night. Mm-hmm. And now you're eating at night before you go to bed. So now you're making your body work that much harder with all that food to go through as you're trying to sleep. That's a little stressful on your digestive system as well.
Yeah.
Like we know that we don't eat in the morning or I don't work out in the morning, but that does not mean you cannot.
Yeah, like physically can't. Like
yes.
You're going to have some kind of bad reaction if you do.
Yeah,
like no, you just need to change. Then that's, if you're not looking to change, then you're not ready to start.
Yeah. I got some I just want to jump in for a second. University of North Carolina did a study on eating surveys, or about an eating survey, and 65% of American women between the ages of 25 and 45 report having a disordered eating behavior, according to this online survey. An additional 10% of women report symptoms consistent with eating disorders such as anorexia, bulimia, binge eating, and so that a total of 75% of those American women that were surveyed endorse some unhealthy thoughts, feelings, or behaviors related to food, and it correlates to their bodies.
That's horrible. Like that, you know. Well, I mean, you know, from day one, people are taught that like their body isn't how it should be. You know, it's like all over billboards, and you know, and then it's drilled into your head that like this is how you should look, and not everybody can look that way. So then, you get into this turmoil. Well, your body's telling you need to eat. So then you starve your body, and it's like, no, you really need to eat. And you're just like, oh, well, wow, I like food because it's good for me and I need it. And I'm going to eat a shit ton of it because I'm going to make up for lost time. But then you have that guilt where you're just like, I should have never done that. I'm supposed to not be eating, you know. So now, you know, whatever, you starve yourself again, or, you know, you take the throwing up, or, you know, and it's just that, like you talked about, it's that vicious circle. You know, unfortunately, I mean, a lot of it just starts with self-acceptance and, you know, and, you know, understanding what you are, you know, what's your healthy self look like.
Right.
You know, because it's different for everybody. You know,
I'm one of those people too.
There's plenty of women who are never going to be 100 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, or 120 pounds, or 140 pounds.
When I did my first cut, my first experience with macros, I hired a coach that I found on Instagram, and she did a one-time macro coach. And I don't offer these as a coach. And we did talk about it in like my certification that some people do, some people don't. And I said I never would because, you know, you fill out a form and she just gives you the correct numbers for a diet, but you have no exit strategy.
Yeah.
Like that was my first experience, and I paid her to get these numbers and joined a challenge. I was down to 133 pounds, which I'm 5'3", 5'4". I never know if it's 5'3", 5'4". One of those. And I got down to 133 pounds, and people were telling me all the time, "Oh, you look so good. You look amazing." And from the outside, I wasn't malnourished. I didn't look emaciated, but I was losing my hair. I had blood work done. I had no estrogen. They put me on an estrogen patch because the hormones it was gone. I wasn't sleeping very good. I was miserable and irritable.
Because you were eating the wrong stuff. That was too low for me. It was a cookie cutter. She's just handing out those numbers to everybody.
Handing out numbers. And then like my coaching, you have to sign up for a minimum of 3 months because I need to see your biofeedback. I need to know if you're losing hair. I need to know if you're not sleeping. Are you miserable? Life is not meant to be miserable. There is a way to do this that can be get in, get the job done, and then you have to come out and you have to go back up to maintenance, and somebody has to coach you through that. Even my doctor I went there with these symptoms, and she put me on an estrogen patch.
Instead of saying, what are you eating?
Yeah.
What's your diet like?
Well, diet doesn't exist in medical terms.
No, because I looked great, right?
Just
and 133 pounds, she was probably like, girl, you look good.
The chart says your weight's okay.
Chart says you're not morbidly obese.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, even at that, I couldn't sustain that. You know, it's not meant you have to know your body. And when I'm not meant to be 130 pounds, I'm just not. And you have to be okay with that.
Right.
You know, you look at 10 different women who are all weigh the same, and they can present as completely different depending on their structure, their height, their where they carry their weight, their lean muscle mass, you know? And so that's a huge thing that we tell, you know, with women's attachment to the scale and what that number says determines their self-worth that day and how much they're going to love themselves.
Yeah. And the obsession, like daily weigh-ins and stuff like that. Like that's every part of that's not healthy.
Daily weigh-ins are not bad. I actually do recommend you can weigh yourself every day when you can look at that number as data, and that's it. Yeah. You can't attach an emotional.
So not how I looked at it this morning.
But it's so hard. But it's so hard. You know, people. That's the number that defines everything. So
I just want to have 5 more pounds to lose, and then so my answer is always like, and then what? Your life, you will be happy.
Yeah.
You know,
everything's perfect in the world.
You're good then, right?
So not only do you look at the aspect of what they're putting in their mouth, that you also try to go and work with the emotional part of that as well.
Mindset, yes. Yeah. A lot of times it's how many times I've stopped, how many times I've quit instead of focusing on how many times did you start. Like if we could just focus, like never mind how many times I quit, focus on how many times you started. Because if that's what you're doing, you're always starting, right? That means you're consistent. That means you're always moving. You don't have to nail it every day. There's plenty of times where I'm like, I'm going to enjoy myself. I wake up the next day, make the same breakfast I normally make, and I just keep going. It's this pattern of like, I gained weight so quick because I can't maintain it. So now I'm going to do a crash diet. I'm going to lose it so quick. But then I can't maintain that. So now I gain all the weight back and a little bit more. But now the next time I lose it, it's harder because now I'm adapted to that. So now it's even harder to lose it again. So this up, down, and
which is the same thing as like the starving and binging.
Yes.
It's just a little more gradual
Yep.
because you overdo the down. And then when you get to it, you're like, oh, I reached my goal. It's go time. I'm going to celebrate. And then that's a week-long celebration and you're right back up and then you feel like shit.
Instead of
You're mad at
going like
yourself.
this and going slow and steady wins the race. Look at me.
And then maybe it's a slow down and slow back up. Yeah.
So just imagine what your body's going through as you do these peaks and valleys.
Well, that's the other part. I mean, within, 6 months, you can go from okay, especially like, our age to like diabetic, high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, you could be, you're good again.
Yeah.
So all your organs are like, what the hell? I mean, your liver, thankfully that thing regenerates itself constantly. Your pancreas is like, what's going on? Like, I needed help a couple, months ago. And, not good for mentally or any part of you physically. But that's like, that's what's normal instead of people just, learning how to maintain.
Yeah.
I know my weakness. It's right here.
It's like that in a lot of things, right? And for humans, it's I'm in or I'm out. I'm left or I'm right. I'm up. And like that middle, that consistent balance is where we just completely like living in the gray area.
Right.
That's where like life happens. It's not up and down or left or right. It's this, it's this middle self-acceptance, self-love. It's the meat,
Right. Someone who's really close to me, I don't want to say her name on here, but she has a lot of health issues. And every time she goes back to the doctors, it's a new pill and a new pill and a new pill. And I always say to her, when's the last time you went out and walked? Doesn't happen, even to the mailbox and back, But then one day, because I said to her, if something ever happens to you, I need to know what kind of pills you're on, because it's a close family member of mine. And started rattling off all the pills. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what half of these are. And then the crazy thing during the whole vid scare, it was, you're going to die. If you get this, you're going to die. If you get this, you're going to die. And drilled in my mom's head. So that was my mom. I just gave it out.
You can edit that out.
Sorry,
Said
Mom.
it. And I was like,
just back it
Let's
up.
back that out.
Yeah.
I got to write that down because that's going to have to come out.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Drilled into their head.
Yeah. And I said, what are you doing? Are you taking the vitamin D? Are you doing all those other things? Are you exercising and going out? No, not doing any of those. Well, but her doctor never once, ever, during this whole thing of the rheumatoid arthritis, the whole 9 yards, never once did I ever hear the doctor say, you need to exercise, you need to lose weight.
Nutrition is completely absent in medicine.
100%.
Yep.
It's like, and it's funny because, I have kids and I'm sure you guys have dealt with it. If you have kids, I know you do. And I think you said you do. How much juice are they drinking? Well, I know they don't want them drinking a lot of juice because there's a lot of sugar in it. And parents like overdo the juice. So, and then it's like how many cups of milk, and how many times are you eating fast food because that's a normal thing. And so it's important at that age. They're asking those questions, but as an adult, it's just like, you should probably take some weight off, but let me give you some medicine for your diabetes and your, high blood pressure.
Yeah.
It's like, no, how about let's get you, with somebody that can show you, the things that you should be eating in the right quantities. And well, this is where, this is the caveat. And then you won't need those pills anymore. Well,
there's no money in that.
And then you won't need to come visit me,
There's no
for all
money
this
in
random
that.
shit. No, there's no money in it.
Did you see what my wife and my daughter were eating when you came in?
No.
Taco Bell.
Do you know that when I left the gym this morning at 7:15 in the morning, there was somebody going through the Taco Bell drive-thru?
Well, they have breakfast.
Yeah.
Cut the
Come
crap.
on, silly. It's breakfast.
Does anybody actually wake up in the morning and go, let's grab Taco Bell for like a coffee at Taco Bell?
So here's the thing.
Oh, yeah, it's
so
coffee in the burritos.
So Taco Bell is my guilty pleasure. I if I'm craving fast food, it's Taco Bell.
Taco Bell?
It is.
Oh, it's not my thing.
And they've had breakfast for years. Like they make like a little taco made out of a waffle with like sausage in it. Yeah. And
it's
good.
Jeff's hungry.
I'm going to get to your point. I really want to try it, but I never wake up saying I want Taco Bell for breakfast. It's like usually like 2 a.m. after leaving a bar or something. I'm like, man, I could go for something. Like let's stop at Taco Bell. But like I really want to try that Taco Bell breakfast, but I'm never craving it. Like I'm never like. And my son.
No, it's just not the first thing you'd probably think of. It's just
no. I'm like I'm gonna have 2 eggs, and call it a day.
I'll tell you, I'm like doing a double take. I kind of wanted to say, "What are you getting?"
You ever just want to like stand in the drive-through line and just start like with the big billboard sign, like you can do better,
Be better. Go to Dunkin'.
Oh no! Don't go to Dunkin'.
Yeah,
come on.
I'm joking.
Oh, okay. I hope you're joking.
I'm joking.
Taco Bell. I mean, I would take Taco Bell breakfast over Dunkin' anything.
Yeah.
No, you know what? We had a coach's, like it's called Coach's Corner through the certification that I did. So it was like a little more like ongoing training. And the guest speaker was talking about how she had a client that went on depression medication. Her family could not take her anymore. She was irritable. She was cranky. She was miserable. She started taking her medicine. And so then she said, I really would like, she got a health coach and she was like, I want to know how to eat. So she put her on more calories, more higher fats, because that's really good to support hormones. Mm-hmm. And she no longer needed depression medication. They found out that she was just under eating and miserable.
Yeah.
Like how many women, how many of your wives are walking around miserable because they just need to eat more?
Because they're starving themselves.
Maybe that's my wife's problem. Hey, man, get down here. I got to get her on the mic.
Get some more Taco Bell.
Get Taco Bell. 7:15, grab it. Go get it. She was so happy that day.
She was happy tonight, man. They were both sitting at that table like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you guys, Kim's coming over. She's going to shame you. But
I would never. Everybody always asks me that too, a nutritional coach. So do your kids like eat so healthy? No, you got Taco Bell for dinner. I'm the one that over there. I have all my food prepped. I have my broccoli, my chicken. I mean, I will till my dying day say, do you want some chicken? Do you want some broccoli? You got to put something green on that plate. 100%. But I've got a almost 20-year-old, so he buys most of his own food.
Wow.
The 14-year-old, I can't control the amount of Mountain Dew he consumes. And my daughter is 11, and she's a huge reason why this conversation needs to happen for me. Is just, yeah. I mean, she asked me when she was 10, am I fat?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, where?
Yeah.
Did your brother, who told you that?
Yeah. Someone at school, or you just felt that way because like you realized you didn't look like anybody
on
TV or on TikTok or whatever it is. Yeah. It's crazy.
And I mean, I make sure, just given the past that I had, that I was like, I mean, coming from that, I want you to be strong. It's about being strong. It's about being healthy. It's about feeding yourself food that's going to like nourish you and fuel you. It is not about like at the end of the day, and of course I let them enjoy cake, a birthday cake. Again, it's balance, but it's what you do the majority of the time that matters. We can't get wrapped up in like, well, what am I going to do for Christmas? Christmas Eve, those are 2 meals.
It's 2 days.
It's not even I mean, you could call it 2 days.
We talked about it before too. It's like, it's a marathon. It's like, it's a 90-year marathon.
You take 30, it's a 30-day month and you have what, 2 meals?
So I can tell you,
not going to wreck you.
Thanksgiving this
you
year,
might have a week where you gain a pound or two, or you don't lose a pound or two.
Yeah.
But you just get right back on the horse and just do the right thing, and it balances out.
I mean, talking about being miserable. So Thanksgiving, I was there with my little measuring cup, measuring stuff out, putting stuff into my thing, and I'm like,
I didn't do that.
Why am I doing this today?
No.
But in my mind, like now I'm going mental. Like if I don't do that, then I'm going to gain X amount of weight. I'll be back to where I was. That's the vicious circle for me. Like I get wrapped up in, and then I won't eat. Like I'll start fasting, and I'll fast for 24 hours, and then what
does that do?
It gets me miserable, first of all.
Yeah, and makes you real hungry when you end it.
And then you get real hungry and you overeat.
Yeah, and then my body's kind of spazzes out.
And then you feel like shit because you overate.
Yeah. So
both mentally and physically.
Yeah, and I got to break that cycle because all the way up until, I mean, technically I haven't lost the weight for my first kid yet. So it's following me, and he's 29. But it is that mentality. I think it's a lot for guys too. Like I do not like being fat, and I work in an industry where there's beautiful people all the time. So sometimes when I go to some of these
You're beautiful,
meetings,
Jeff.
You're beautiful,
thank you
Jeff.
very much. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. But then you see these models and all these other things, and you're like, Jesus Christ! Like,
where the heck are you seeing models?
I feel like shit. My company has a whole bunch of them. We see those.
Wait, you mean you're not one of them?
Well, I mean, I had to tell them, listen, I can only do a couple things. My modeling career is done. Unfortunately, I had to hang that hat up. It's something I, cry about quite often, but it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
But so the imagery and all that kind of stuff is all very thin. Beautiful,
there's no
models.
dad bods and fashion and makeup like.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the image that all these other women and stuff are looking at are all things
Or
that
mom bods, let's call it like it is. Like
I don't really know that much those either. It's very skewed.
Yeah.
I will tell you. So I go down this perpetual. I call it like the merry-go-round. You just constantly do, and I'm not getting any results. I do for a couple of weeks, and then it goes wherever it goes. But then I become obsessive, and I don't like that part of me. It becomes like if nothing else matters. I was like doing stuff upstairs with the wife one day, and she's like, "Listen, you're kind of going crazy with that a little bit." I'm like, "Mind your business. Like, I need to do this."
But see, that's so monitoring your macros is perfect for you because you drill into the minutia. So if you're like saying, "Hey, you should have this, this, and this, and these, 3 or 4 categories," you'll be like, "All right, this is what I'm having."
I think in my mind, I'm better off to eat like a dog. And I don't mean like weird, like the same thing every day.
Please explain. I do.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
No. There's nothing
If
wrong
you don't
with
get
it.
bored
That's
with
how
it,
my
like
mind works.
some people get bored. Like I have 2 eggs every morning.
Yeah.
That's what I eat. I eat 2 eggs.
Yeah.
Sometimes I add toast if I'm feeling, frisky. But 2 eggs, heavy in the protein, keeps me satiated for, good part of the day. Protein, your body loves it. It takes a while to digest, fulfills the hunger need. And if you don't eat enough protein, it actually causes you to get hungry. Like if you don't intake like your minimum, at least minimum amount of protein, it's
huge.
It's gonna cause it actually will have you crave sweets. So then it's like double bad.
But
so now you didn't eat enough protein, and you're gonna be like, I need something sweet because I don't have enough protein.
I hear all these numbers of protein, and one thing says this, the other thing says this. That's the thing. I think I heard a good quote a while ago. Every successful person has a coach at some point in time in their career.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. And you and I talk a lot about mindset. We do too. And I think that's super, super important for someone to actually start from that beginning.
Sounds like he's signing up. Says he needs a coach.
We already talked about it. It's time. No fat, no mo. I'm going to do that 5 podcasts from now. I'm going to do the whole take the shirt off and
the best thing
my podcast without my shirt on.
Best thing for me, best thing for me
Baby.
in my weight loss was the accountability where every single, at least once I set my day for Monday, but every Monday I had to text my doctor. This is even pre-surgery, because there's a whole pre-surgery period where you have to lose a bunch of weight and, you just basically start building those better habits so you know what to do after the fact. And I had to send them screenshots of my weigh-in off my, fancy scale and, tell them how much exercise I did. Some screenshots of my fitness activity app, like this is how many calories I burned, and reiterate what my diet was, what we had agreed that I was going to eat for, and when. And like I went a year and a half, so, several months pre-surgery and then a year after. And my biggest challenge was like, I'm not going to report a day or a week where I didn't lose at least a pound,
Right,
that accountability, and then it just started becoming, making myself personally accountable. Doesn't work quite as well, which is why I've gained some weight, but I just have to adjust and, change my habits. But yeah, I mean, I picture that as my coach, and every day, every week he'd be like, it's a great job, change this, adjust this, let's try to up your, activity, burn, go from burning 1,500 calories a week to 2,000 calories a week, in, extra exercise. But sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you just, you want to text me every week and say, hey, here's my measurements for my scale, and I'll give you shit about it. If
Brett, I need you to fat shame me. Here's my stuff. And go.
Nobody's going to fat shame you.
See, it's different for guys, though.
I know. You guys are a little bit, you're not as emotional about it. We're like, you're fat shaming me.
To be honest, if you didn't fat shame me, I think you didn't like me. To be honest.
No, that's definitely the different part. Women can't do that.
Yeah.
Wow, your ass looks big today. No, you're not my friend anymore.
You know what? I actually never liked you.
It would get so dirty so fast, like ruthless.
Yeah. Next thing you're pulling shit out of the closet, like, well, I didn't, your husband doesn't know you did this.
Yeah. So quick. Ugh.
Meanwhile, we're just like, I know I'm fat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
I'll try to be better.
Isn't my wife supposed to love you for who I am now and not what I look like?
Oh my God. Well, accountability can come go to the gym. I mean, so much of this stuff transfers from just health and nutrition to just living a healthy lifestyle in general. I mean, you're the combination of what the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Yeah.
Show me your circle and I'll show you.
Show me your circle, show your future.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're going to the gym, let's just say that you find a place that you find a community in. Maybe it's not something, if you're looking for accountability, you need more of a community. So you find some place that you can go to that offers support in groups and numbers. And then you meet people there. Now, if you're meeting people at a gym, you're probably meeting people that have the same goals as you.
Like-minded people, same habits.
Like-minded habits, all striving to be their best selves, right? So now you meet somebody from there, and you have a buddy that there you go, accountability, right? Are you going to the gym? I'll meet up with you. Now you start texting each other recipes for healthy freaking desserts and shit, You have to put yourself in the environment with the people that you want to be like. So, you find those people that you're like, I like what you look like. I like your lifestyle. I like what you're about. Like, what do you do? Where do you hang out? It's the same thing for your career. It's the same thing of just who you want to be in life. Who do you admire? Who do you aspire to be like? What do they do every day? Do they work out every day? What do they eat? What does their car look like? What do they dress like?
Can somebody lose weight without going to the gym, or are those two things?
It's the majority of fat loss comes from diet.
Okay.
However, you're going to lose fat. Do you like what you see underneath?
Right.
Is a different story.
Right.
So
you're burning calories right now. So you have a basic metabolic rate. So you're burning a certain amount of calories every single day just by existing.
Yep.
As soon as you get up and walk, you might burn a little more. You do a little bit of exercise. So really, if you just start saying, hey, this is, and there's plenty of measurements that can determine your basic metabolic rate, how many calories you burn in a day. That's a great starting point. So, if I just intake that many calories, I'm not going to gain any weight. You can't, because your body's burning that much. Theoretically.
That's what I need to maintain where I'm at.
Yeah. Maintain where I'm at. Now you look at, if I continue to just eat what my body needs, basic minimum, but I decide I want to go for an extra walk every day, and I burn 200 calories by walking for half an hour. Just walk around the neighborhood. Now you're burning 1,400 calories a week just by going for an extra walk, but you're at your maintenance intake. So, you know, I don't know how many calories you got to burn to lose a pound of fat. It's like,
I don't know.
Yeah. It's,
How
I don't know.
How many
Like,
push-ups
it's
to get
like,
rid of a
it's like
cheeseburger?
2,000 or 3,000
Yeah.
calories. So, you know, within, you know, a week or two, you lose a handful of pounds. And, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on whether or not you're increasing your muscle mass, increasing your muscle mass, your basic metabolic rate, your calories are gonna drop, because, you know, fat, believe it or not, actually takes calories to maintain.
Yes.
Not as much as muscle, but
The more
other
muscle
things.
you
Yeah.
have on your body, the faster your metabolism
Yeah.
goes all the time. It's the more muscle mass you have, it's
Yep.
always burning.
because
So-
it's way more power
So it
hungry.
is, you know, at the end of the day, because I see some people like I talk to, like, well, you know, let's say they can't go to the gym, like, could they? What kind of? And I know that's horse shit, but what kind of weight loss could they possibly consider seeing if they don't go to the gym?
But you
on
can
average?
you can totally lose a lot of weight just with diet, of course. But again, you can it's like a melted candle effect. You're going to look like you, just smaller. Are you okay with that? It depends on, you know, it's goals. What do you want? Are you somebody that wants to, like, women will always tell you, I would like to look toned. I want to look toned. That means muscular.
Mhm.
Like, these really stupid adjectives that we put so that we don't look bulky or big, or these words that we are trying not to look like.
Yeah.
Like, you should work out. Women, if you want to look toned, you need to work out like you want to look bulky. Because
really?
if you
Yeah.
think that lifting, you go and touch a 10-pound weight and you're going to be bulky all of a sudden, it takes a hell of a lot more work.
That's the crazy, like, and I can't believe that misconception still persists.
It's crazy.
Is that, like, women that work out are gonna, like, look like bulky, like, built men? Like, it's physically,
It is so hard.
almost impossible, because just the genetic makeup doesn't allow for it.
I mean, listen, and I see you lift some heavy weight. Like
Yeah.
your videos, like you're not messing around,
No.
and you are no means, like, you know, like me. I'm just saying. I'm only kidding.
I've been doing that. I've been
But no, but
lifting
it's true.
heavy weights for probably 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. And that's it. What I have, I mean, I'm proud of it and I love it. Don't get me wrong. But
Right.
like 3 years and I don't look like a bodybuilder.
Right.
So,
But it's a massive calorie expenditure.
yes.
Doing
Yeah.
it, and then
Yeah.
like the recovery portion of it, and then just having the muscle and maintaining it, like it's a huge win.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, women can benefit from it even more, because, like,
Our
Yeah.
like, for balance of hormone levels, lean muscle mass, even as you get older, your posture, bone density, you know, like, it's having muscle is so much more, it's so important. And so when people, that's back to your question, you know, yes, you can lose a lot of weight just with food, but are you going to like what you see underneath?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, that's when women will say it's just the last 5 to 10 pounds. It's not the last 5 to 10 pounds. It's that you want to see muscle, and you think that last 5 to 10 pounds is also going to reveal something you did not build.
yeah, you never had it there.
Yeah.
You never had
you
it
want to
there.
see the shapes and the contours. Well, they were never there.
Yeah.
But they think if they just lose the fat,
Yeah.
it's not there.
Yeah.
You have to build that. And so especially for gentlemen, it's the same way. I mean, you want to lose fat, sure. If you're okay, if your goals in life are just to be a skinnier version of you, and that's what's going to make you happy, that's fine. But I think 9 times out of 10, people end up really kind of disappointed and still feeling not satiated, not satisfied with the body that they see.
Right.
And it's again, it becomes this ongoing kind of cycle that I need to lose more weight. I don't like my body. I still don't like what I see when I look in the mirror.
Yep.
So like, building muscle is what gives your body shape. It gives you lines. It gives you definition. It gives you curves for a woman. They do coexist, especially if you're somebody that eventually wants to eat more food. You have to have more muscle on your body. I eat 2,100 calories a day.
Do you really?
Maintaining my weight.
Yep.
I could probably eat more, but I work out so much and I've put on so much muscle that, like, I burn through it. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
My body needs that to keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
So right now, it's again depends on your goals. Right now, my goal is I turned 40 on January 2nd. I'm doing my first strongman competition on January 14th.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So training for that, and that has nothing to do with losing weight at all.
Right.
I'm purely eating to fuel my body to lift as heavy as I can and get the most out of my workouts right now.
So what does that consist of?
So you're basically bulking for a powerlifting competition.
I'm not quite bulking because my weight is staying the same.
Yeah.
And when you're in maintenance, you can still make progress. It's not as quick. It's definitely not as quick. Yep. If I was intentionally,
you'd up your calories.
I would totally. If I was intentionally going, I'm in like the novice.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So what does that whole strongman competition consist of? What are you going to be doing?
Deadlifts, a log press, cement, like it's the stone. So it's a large cement ball that you have to place on a platform.
The Alice stone.
Yep. And a farmer's carry where you pick it up the weight and you have to hold it for as long as you can.
Ooh.
Are they making you walk with the farmer's carry?
You do not have to walk.
That's just a hold? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is it so that each individual competition you're scored by place, like actual like World's Strongest Man like rules? So it's not strongest woman, not like I was thinking more powerlifting competition. So it's the strongest woman. Okay.
Yep.
So not a cumulative of your top three, like your squat,
right,
your deadlift, and your bench.
This is my first one, so I don't. I'm super new to how it's run, how they score it, what they do. I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
Is this going to be televised?
No, Jeff.
But all individual events.
I want to root for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, I'm just purely and so that's what I choose to do at this point of the game. It's not about like what size pants I want to fit in. Non-scale victories, right? Like set a goal that's a physical goal that's not have anything to do with the scale.
I like that. Non-scale victories. Non-scale victories.
We focus on those, like for women especially, we focus a lot on like what's badass to you when you look at a woman, what they can do. And it's either like real push-ups, like on your feet. Some will say like, I would love to do a pull-up. Those are hard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know I cannot do a single pull-up?
Pull-ups are hard. You have to like
I haven't tried in years, but I remember like I used to do 60 a day.
Yeah, no.
When I was in my 20s, I was like, that's what I did every morning, every night, like from the floor joists, just with my fingertips.
We have a pull-up bar in my living room.
Yeah.
I got one on this.
I don't even,
you said when you came in?
I lost 120 pounds, and I don't even know if I can hold myself up. It's crazy.
Well, I had to do planks, so I do this thing called the tempo, and I had to do a plank, and oh my God, that was
Dude,
horrific.
planks are hard. We have planking competitions in my house every once in a while.
Oh,
and
God.
So I did I used to sit them out. I did my first one. I planked for like a minute and a half. I'm like, I'm going to tap out here.
That's a lot.
And like, well, so to understand, my two older kids were gymnasts, so they can plank for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
And then my youngest, he does various. I couldn't afford to get him into gymnastics after having two in there. So I did everything I could to keep him out of gymnastics. But he's done rock climbing. He does like Ninja Warrior stuff. So he's fitness oriented. And so he started at the beginning of the school year. He planks a minute every day before school. I didn't even know it. He told me like a month into it. He's like, yeah, one of his teachers was like, oh, do something different every day, or it might have been his gym teacher. He's like, so I've been planking every minute or for a minute every day before school. I'm like, I had no idea. So then I'm like, all right, you've been planking. Like your two older brothers, I get it. Like they're fit. I want to puke when they are Abercrombie posters walking around. Can you put a shirt on, please? But I'm like, all right. So then we know now with my youngest, I don't bother mess with the older two with planking, but I'm going to do this, so a minute and a half, I wanted to die.
Yeah. That's
and
tough.
my back was sore for like, and I'm not inactive, but that is like a whole nother realm.
So that's another non-scale victory. So I have a Facebook group that right now it's the challenge is just 10 push-ups a day, do them, video it, put it in the group. It's accountability. But when you set a goal like that, so like whatever you want to do, if it was planking, if it was push-ups, if whatever, then at least that gets you on so you're focusing on something more strength oriented instead of being like a drop size in my pants. And then by working on that non-scale victory, you probably end up losing some fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can drop a size in your pants just by being dehydrated.
Yeah.
Like, congratulations.
Well,
But I love that non-scale victories. Like, what is your goal? Like, how many push-ups do you want to be able to do? How do you want to be able to do regular push-ups versus, the
And
I don't know.
it piggybacks so hard. But I mean, when you do hit your goal, like a physical goal, you're like, oh my God, if I can do that, if I can do 10 push-ups, I can probably do 20.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm going to try to do 20. But if I can do that, now I'm going to work on a pull. Like, you need to have these little bits of confidence that you can put in your back pocket, and all it is evidence. You need evidence that you can do more.
Sure.
And that you can do something. You can, when you do set a goal and you take it into small increments, every time you do it is just evidence that you can do it. And the more evidence you build, the more you know that you can be that person.
It's kind of like eating the elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have actually.
So when you talk about it, you should just start with walking is like so underestimated.
So
I
I
get
wanted to get into that a
10,000
little
walk,
bit. Yeah.
10,000 steps every day.
So is that the magic number? Because I think I heard
It's
they
not the
just
magic
changed
number,
it,
but
what is
8
that?
to 10.
Yeah, 8
But
to
that's
10,
you're walking a little over 3 miles a day.
Right.
So that's a lot of walking. I mean, I try to do it. I try to hit 10,000, and it's tough unless you purposely say, I'm going to go walk. So, one of the things that I do when I work at home, which is a few days a week, is so from my house to the end of the street and back is 1.5 miles. It's just under 5,000 steps. So I technically have to do that. I have to, do that twice. And when I'm working from home, I'm only moving like within my house, so if I don't do that and I don't do anything at night, I basically did nothing.
Well, that's my whole problem, man.
It's
and
crazy.
You and I are basically in the same boat where.
Do you guys, can you put a treadmill under your desk?
So
A walking pad?
Yeah, I could do that. I can, honestly, I don't see myself working and walking.
Okay.
I've
never done it. I don't know
Yeah.
how feasible it is.
I don't know how people do it. So I certainly, I know they make those desks. So, the biggest problem with me is I use 3 monitors. So I don't know if they make a desk like that. And I can't even listen to music when I do my work. I'm super hyper focused, and it's my job just doesn't allow for me to not be focused.
So I have that right there. I can do. I can take the handles off.
Yep.
And that can be a pad, but I'm on camera a lot for work.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that would look like.
Oh, like on Zoom?
Yeah. We use Teams.
Could you just tell them, I'm just walking. I'm talking and walking.
I mean, I guess
just out for a stroll.
I could, as long as I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do it yet.
I think you should start it.
That I'm aware of. But that's the thing. Like sometimes, so I bought a Fitbit not too long ago, just a cheap one, just to see what I was gonna do for steps, and I was shocked by how many non-steps I do.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so that's
sometimes
it's only like 1,200 steps a day.
Well, I'll tell you what. So you asked the question, and since you have you don't wear it, but your Fitbit, try to just say, I'm going to hit 10,000. There's been plenty of times where it's 8:00 at night, and I'm like, we got to go for a walk.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, I
I'm
have to go.
notorious for being like 500 more steps. I'm going to do a lap around the house, up and down the stairs.
So I'm only at 5,000. I actually went into the office today, and I only feel good about that 5,000 because I don't take the elevator, and I'm on the 3rd floor. So I did between coffee breaks and lunch breaks, and I probably did 30 flights of stairs, because I just don't take the elevator. But I'm still behind. I actually dislike going into the office.
Yeah.
Because, I purposely get in 5,000 steps at my lunch break. But it's interesting, I liked also what you said about, kind of achieving, and like meeting a goal and be like, holy shit, I had this. So one of the things that this is brand new for me. I've always said that I'll only run if I'm being chased by an animal that's trying to kill me. Because my wife has done a bunch of 5Ks.
My husband says the same thing.
Yeah, I think all guys, that's their excuse for not running, right? My wife's done some 5Ks. She runs the Hoyle, 10K, and there's a couple good points she made. One was the community part, and she recently joined like a gym where it's very community oriented, not like a Planet Fitness where you just go and Fitness Factory and you pay your $10 a month. And she feels guilty when she doesn't go. And she's like, I haven't been in a week. She's like, I really need to go. They're wondering where I am. Because and it does. You show up and they're like, hey, where you been? Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
or you
stranger,
get a text, where you at?
Exactly. I haven't seen you in a while. Everything okay? And that's been huge for her. Like, she looks forward to going, and because we've had all, she's had the gym memberships where it's like, I have it, I'll go tomorrow, blah, 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 versus
no
like,
one misses me.
Like, yeah, I feel committed. Or, there's a couple friends that she made. It's like, are you going tonight? Yeah, okay, I'll be there, because then you have that, bit of commitment. So I really like that you talked about that. That don't work for me. I'm an introvert. So like, I don't want people texting me. I don't.
So I don't, I can do either one, but I am not someone who needs that. I will say that. I go to an awesome gym on Saturdays to train for strongman, in Chicopee. It's called Train for Life.
That's where my wife goes.
Shut up.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. She loves it there. She absolutely loves it.
It's fantastic. Like if there doesn't get better community than that.
Where is that?
It's in Chicopee.
Whereabouts?
Over by Spalding.
Oh, okay.
Like down in
okay.
It's like, when you come over McKinstry,
Yeah.
it's like the first right, like you're under the underpass.
Oh,
and
so
it's
like you're going to go into right across from Rite Aid?
Not that far.
Up the hill, up McKinstry Hill.
Up the hill. So if
It's
you're
like
coming,
that industrial.
Yeah, right on the right-hand side as you're coming down.
Yeah.
just coming down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you're
yeah,
before Rite Aid and all that. But yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what you need, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, she loves
100%.
She loves that place.
But I love it too. I also have another membership at just a regular cookie cutter kind of scan your card and go in and come out, because the introverted part of me actually loves to put on my headphones and put a podcast on,
like self accountability, and just go
work through my split and do my sets and my reps and write them down and track them and get in, get out. I sometimes need the availability of like just time, like when I can go, I can go.
Yeah.
So you have to know that about yourself. Again, like when you move along this, just knowing what works for me doesn't work for her, and what works for him doesn't work for me. So, but once you do find those things out, you have to do them, like that's the accountability. Like if I know that I need a group, then find the group,
Right.
Otherwise it's just an excuse.
Right.
Right. You can find the time to work out. Jeff, you can find the time to work out.
But here's the thing, though. Like, I mean, I guess on the weekends I don't really have a problem. But I get up at 6 a.m. and I'm on my laptop. Like, there's all these things I have to get out before I start my day. Then I drive so far sometimes. Like, my first stop sometimes is like 2 hours. Then I'm sitting down with clients all day, back in the car sitting down.
Right.
Then when I get home, the thought of 10,000 steps.
Okay, so time out.
6:30 at night.
Time out. What are you going to do at 6:30 at night?
Well, usually I have to come back and I have to do all my admin stuff for my close of the day.
Okay, but why can't you do that while you're walking?
You should get a walking desk.
Yeah, I mean, I could. I mean, that's the thing. I could.
You can.
Really so on there, I have a thing for I can put my laptop inside the thing there.
No, you already have it.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, you're set up. Do your close of the day.
Yeah.
The funny part is, so BJ's just had a sale on, it's just called a walking pad because it has no incline.
Right.
So you just walk.
Is it rollers or is it motorized?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
My mom got one. One of my girlfriends got one because I'm like, what are you doing right now? And sitting on the couch watching Netflix. So watch Netflix and walk.
Yeah.
Just, it's a really trim kind of thing. It's small. It can go under your couch. There's no hand thing. It's just the pad.
Yep.
No hand thing.
No, nothing to hold on to. You just walk.
I'd fall on my face.
That's scary. Yeah.
It's got to.
I'm a little sketched out by that.
A
little sketched out.
However,
Like,
it starts. If it's like a 3, 2,
Yeah.
you feel
There's
like
going to be a lot of people missing teeth.
No,
Yeah.
if my mom can do it.
So listen, one day I put the sauna on so I can have the sauna warm up. So when I'm done with my treadmill, I can get in the sauna. Right.
Yeah.
Well, this whole electrical system in my house is whacked. I don't know whoever did this, but
Yeah, did you wire in a new circuit for that thing? You had to have.
no, because it works off regular 220.
220.
I mean,
120?
Yeah, no, whatever.
Like regular
whatever
plug-in
not
outlet?
110 is, the next one up.
That's 220.
Yeah.
So where do you,
So it just plugs in the back.
it's like a dryer circuit.
No, not like a dryer. It's like a regular plug.
Standard
like this.
plug?
Standard plug.
That's 120.
Okay.
110, whatever, 110,
Yeah.
120. All right. All right, sorry, I got off subject.
Yeah, that's okay. But my dehumidifier kicks on, and it shut the power off while I'm on the treadmill. I went head over ass. If that sauna wasn't there, who knows what that would have looked like? The wife would have came home. I would probably have been laying in my own vomit or urine, whatever.
What a thing to be on
Yeah.
when the power goes out.
And then so it's pitch black in here. I can't see anything. I got to find my way to my phone. I don't even know where my phone was to kick the
To
power
be a fly
back
on the
on.
wall.
So now I'm very. If I ever go. When I do go on that thing, I have like a regimen. I go shut all that stuff off.
Yeah, that's really good. It's good.
Oh my God.
So walk me through, like, let's say I contacted you for the first time and I wanted to know what this was about and I decided to join. What does my world look like? What can I expect during our journey?
I would have, it's called a discovery call. So we get on the phone and we talk and I tell you about what I do and why I do it and what you can expect from me. And then I usually, I'd like to give people some time to think about it, but for the most part, it's usually like, no, I have to do this. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And so we have usually about, depending on, it all varies because people, again, are coming from very different places, doing very different things. I usually have them track their food for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I kind of need to see what I'm working with before I just give them numbers. Like if I do their total daily expenditure and all that, and they're actually eating more than that, then we have to have the conversation. This will be more like, are you ready to do a diet, or, let's start you at your maintenance. Again, I've only started people at maintenance because no one is anywhere near it. But it all stems from where they're at. And sometimes they're really close to doing what what I would teach them. So after 3 months, I hope they don't need me anymore. Mm-hmm. I hope that they've developed all of the habits. I hope that I've been able to see them through a season, whether that be maintenance, whether that be a deficit. And some people you need to start from the very, very bottom. Sometimes they don't start with meeting all of their 3 macronutrients, which are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Sometimes you just start with calories and protein and let the carbs and the fats fall where they may. Sometimes you start with simple habits like, let's see how much, can we drink 70 ounces of water today? Can we walk 5,000 steps? And then I check in with them once a week, whatever, we figure out a time that works good for both of us. It's a video call.
Yep.
We do measurements every 2 weeks, and measurements are by far superior to the scale because fat loss is not always weight loss and weight loss is not fat loss.
Right.
And so, you could lose inches, but your weight could stay the same. So it's really important for people to take those measurements. So it's just a lot about getting to know them and getting to know, a little bit about their journey and how I can help them. And most of the time it starts off with like little bitty baby steps.
Yep. Now, so one thing is you don't plan a diet, right?
No,
You just
that's like doing someone's homework for them.
Right.
I've had people, can you please just tell me what to eat? Can you just write down a plan? You don't give diet plans? So what do you eat? Can you text me what you ate and I can go off what you, like, we are very different and our goals are very different.
Yeah, we might not even like the same foods.
No, and 100%.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I do that for you, what happens after 3 months?
Right. You're not
You go
getting
back to the
tools.
foods that you like, which are the foods
Because
you're
you
already
never
eating, which are
learned how
foods
to
that
do
we're
it.
right to. Yeah.
Right? So that's not serving you in any way.
So when you're looking at the food that they're eating, do you navigate them away from certain things? So I'll just tell you, like for me, right? I'll use me as an example. Because I have such an unhealthy relationship with food, I will go and I'll sacrifice maybe the health part of it for something that just tastes good. But I'll say, well, it's still like 1,000 calories.
That's counting calories, so it's a little different. But you're giving yourself calories that your body doesn't need or might not want, and well,
right.
Calorie is a calorie.
Yeah.
A calorie from an Oreo is the same calorie that is from spinach.
But they do different things
They do
to your
different
body.
things to your body.
Well, see, and that's what I think a lot of people need to understand. Like,
Yes.
if I eat that, it's like one of those org charts, right? Like, do you do this? Yes. Then it goes down here. Like, that's my brain works that way. So, like, when I had the diverticulitis that got really bad, I came like this close to surgery.
Mm.
He rattled off like, don't drink anymore, no fast food, and no red meat. I went like 5 or 6 years without drinking. I went 5 or 6 years without eating red meat, and I very rarely had fast food, like very rarely. But then as I started to feel better and I got over that, okay, I can have that McDonald's. Then I can have the
but you only felt better because you weren't eating it. That's like people who have schizophrenia and they take their medicine and they're like, I feel great.
I'm fine.
I feel so good. I don't need my medicine
Everything's fine.
anymore.
Yeah, look at Kanye.
That's exactly.
Look at Kanye.
Yeah,
Maybe if Conway was counting his macros, we wouldn't have this problem.
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing. You felt better because you weren't eating it, and then you said, "I feel better now. I'll eat it."
Well, no, because I got to a point where I was so scared. Like, I think that was my driving factor behind
Scared
it.
to eat it?
Oh yeah, like I didn't want to end up back in the hospital because
Maybe is that necessarily a bad thing?
No,
that you're
so
not
that's
eating things
interesting.
that make you sick.
Are you on blood pressure medication?
Yep.
What's the risk? What should you be scared of with high blood pressure?
Yeah, well, like I said, it's crazy thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know.
Do you have problems with your sugar, blood sugar?
Nope.
No. So cholesterol?
But here's the thing.
No. It's a yes or no question.
Not as bad. No. So my cholesterol was not that bad when I just had my blood work done. She was actually surprised, considering I'm overweight. But I have a lot of I have a lot of the signs of insulin resistance.
My husband you're pre-diabetic.
Yeah, so I'm not pre-diabetic either, which is weird. I have the skin tags.
Yeah.
I have a lot of like the neck fat in the back.
But so we're talking about 3 very serious things, which all of them will end you up in the hospital or worse.
Right.
But the discomfort of diverticulitis and
scared me the most.
Scared you the most.
Yeah.
Like basically
them ripping me open and dissecting that got me crazy.
Yeah, that, but it's essentially kind of like really bad constipation, just a little further up, like it's an intestinal blockage.
Well, you
more
know what
or
it
less,
was? I know a couple other people that had a colostomy bag put on.
Mm.
And because he told me where mine is, I'm going to have a colostomy bag for up to 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
If I heal, or when I heal, then I can have it reversed. So it's reversible.
So colostomy bag scares the shit out of you. Almost literally.
Yeah, heart attack doesn't scare me.
Heart attack, that's fine.
Isn't that weird?
Kinda. Isn't that weird?
That's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. Be like, my buddy's got one. We're good.
He's got one.
The heart attack I can deal with. The shit outside of my body I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want a bag full of shit.
No.
But I know, hopefully.
Okay, you're seeing another side of me tonight. So next time you see me, like, that guy's whacked.
This is all very normal.
Yep.
You're very normal. Everyone's like this. Everyone's like this.
Yeah.
100%. There's not a lot of people that can it takes a long time to be able to self-awareness. It's like a superpower.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly transformed yourself from when I met you the first time. So you've definitely taken this and you created that mindset.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm glad that you're sharing that with other people.
So do you think that you saw a change in me just more of the diet part of it?
No. Definitely in your attitude and how positive you became.
Yeah. You
were always a positive person when I met you, but you kind of took it to a new level. I could see that progression of I don't know how to say it. You were as a matter of fact, the way you spoke, you started to have this
there's a meeting confidence in in being healthy, and feeling healthy. I noticed that too. I don't know. It's hard to explain. As I recognize myself being healthier and things started becoming everyday tasks started becoming easier. I could never kneel down.
Dude, kneeling down sucks.
So I always blamed it on the fact that I had knee surgery. And that, I had I do have scar tissue on the outside of my, my kneecap. And that hurt because it's a little buildup of scar tissue. But what really made it hurt, it was an extra 100 pounds that didn't need to be there. So now I can kneel all the time and I can get up. after kneeling down.
Must be nice.
You know, so it's like, you know, it's like little baby steps like that where all of a sudden, like, now I'm just a more confident human being. Like, I feel better about myself, and it's like this trickle down effect into everything that I do.
Right.
And it, you know, and it's super hard to explain. It's even hard to conceptualize in my brain, where like the changes in it wasn't the changes in my physical being, you know, even though, you know, I started to at least feel good about the way I looked, like mentally, like everything, you know, eating correctly, and I didn't have horrible eating habits. Really, you know, wine and beer are my detriment.
Well, I mean, technically that's a fruit.
Yeah, it's great. It's fruit.
It's a carb.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was bizarre. Like I drove my family crazy for like several months. I like reorganized the kitchen. I put in like spice, like shit that just I didn't have didn't take the initiative. I'm just like, I'm just gonna, you know.
That's interesting.
I don't feel
so
like
you became more of a go-getter.
Yeah,
more motivated.
Yeah, I didn't feel like dealing. There's certain things I just didn't feel like dealing with, and I'm like, you know, I'm like tired. Like every time I go through the spice cabinet, like shit's falling out on me. I got stack bottles. I'm like,
I'm gonna do something about it.
You know, I'm going on Amazon, and like $50 later, I got spice racks and labels, and like, you know, and then in the afternoon, I'm like, you know, I hate digging through the pan thing. I'm gonna get one of those like slide out things. Like I remodeled the whole freaking kitchen, you know, like an afternoon at a time, because like shit that had bothered me. Like I've been in the house 20 years. And 18 years later, I'm like, I'm going to do something about this. Like,
right? That's amazing.
And it was really just because, like, I just felt better overall. Like, it was like, you know, knowing that I was getting healthier, you know, the little bit of medication I was on, I was able to dismiss. It was bizarre, you know.
It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. But like, you don't, you know, everybody always says to women, especially, well, like, you know, why don't you work out? Well, I'm tired, right? I'm sure, I don't know about men. I'm sure they probably say the same thing. I'm tired. I'm getting older. When you're older, it's harder when you get older. It's not. You're more sedentary.
Yep.
That's what gets harder. When you say I'm tired, it's because you're not moving anymore.
Yeah.
You're not moving as much. A body in motion stays in motion. When you move, you would like to move. Moving your body to feel the privilege that you can walk, you can lift, you can do these things. There is a lady at the gym this morning, 2 women. She has does not have a lot of hair, meaning that she must be going through some kind of sickness. I'm not sure if it's cancer or something autoimmune. She wears a mask, so I assume there is some kind of issue.
Immunocompromised.
Something.
Yeah.
She is partly blind.
Mm.
So she has a woman with her that leads her around the gym to machines.
So what's your excuse?
Nothing after that. Yeah.
She's at the gym every time I'm there.
Yeah.
Getting a workout in. Like, I'm to the point now, even coaching people, I would rather you just tell me I'm not ready to do it than do not bullshit. Like, come clean with yourself. It is totally okay to own it and say, I'm just not ready to do that. I'm not ready. I'm not there yet. I don't want to put that much work into myself yet. But to hear people say, I'm just getting older, it's harder, I don't have time, my kids, my job,
you're either physically incapable or you're unwilling. It's basically kind of what it boils down to. And, you know.
And either one, like, if you're just unwilling, it's fine. Just own it. Like, it's a much more freeing thing also to be like, I can do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I would feel much better about owning that, to say, like, I can certainly do that. I choose not to.
That's
that also feels better.
I've done that plenty. Like I do that shit all the time. You know, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, you know, recently we set aside a goal last year. We want to climb all the highest peaks in New England. So in each of the 5 New England states, right? We want to do all the peaks, and that was never an aspiration of mine. You know, hiking became like my. I got bored with, you know, working out. Like I had a really good lifting partner when I was in my 20s and 30s. He's not with us anymore. So it's like going to the gym doesn't feel right. You know, I mean, I did go for myself for a while and I made some really good progress, but like, it's just, I don't know. I want to find other ways, you know, and
totally.
So like outdoors, I love it. Walking's boring. I do make the most of it, on my lunch break and stuff, but like hiking's my thing. So, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, fuck it. We're gonna, climb the highest peaks in New England. Nothing I would ever have thought of before. And I I tried Skinner Mountain, a couple of years ago before I lost a bunch of weight. Thought I was gonna die. I'm like,
Skinner stuff.
I'm not going hiking anymore.
It's short, but
Oh, straight up.
yeah.
And so then, I get my, my healthy boots on. I'm like, yeah, I'm the man. We tried doing Mount Mansfield over in September in Vermont, which is actually a pretty tough hike. Not as high as some of the others in New England. Actually, it's one of the, so they only, let's see, Katahdin and Mount Washington are higher. So this one's at like 40-something hundred feet. I thought I was going to die. I thought I was Mr. Health. And, I mean, after being, healthy for like a year.
I have to show you. I climbed Mount Washington in August.
So that's
Oh, wow.
that's on my list for next year. So I did Mansfield, and it was way tougher than that's so awesome.
It was magnificent.
Yeah.
It was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Oh, wow.
Because that's 60-something hundred feet.
62.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to do that?
4 hours just up.
So have you done any of the other, like, did you have it? Have you done any of the other 4,000 footers in New Hampshire?
No.
Because there's like 40 of them.
No, I was like, what's the tallest one? Let's just do that.
Let's just go there.
I'm a masochist.
I'm building up to it because, knowing that, like, I thought I was going to die of a heart attack like 3 years ago on Skinner. We were hiking with the Boy Scouts, and I actually stopped and I went and got the car. I'm like, I'll meet you guys at the top. And that was like, one of my defining moments where I'm like, I can't even hike with my kids with the Boy Scouts. Like, there's like a bunch of 10-year-olds here and they're out hiking me.
Yeah, and they're just like, woo!
Yeah, like, woo,
talking.
hey, look, a rock.
They could sing songs all day long while they walk, and you're like,
And I'm like, I can't even. Now my kids are like, Dad, can you slow down?
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did. If that, I don't have a frame of reference, but Mansfield in Vermont was intense. Like, the up was fine. The down killed me.
Down is worst.
The down
Down
killed
is
me.
terrible.
Is it really? It's worse
Down
than
is
up?
worse.
Well, because your legs are beat, and depending on the terrain, if you had big like scrambles and climbs to get up, now you're going down those.
Yeah. So
After your legs
So
are
we
big.
couldn't go down. We had to take
Oh,
the
did you get
train
caught
down.
in weather?
It was so slippery.
Yeah.
The whole
Oh yeah. When did you say you went?
August.
Oh,
so
it's-
from the ground, you looked up and you were like, what a beautiful cloud. It was just a beautiful blue sky with puffy white clouds. But when you get to the top, it was all condensation.
So everything was slick.
Yeah. Like that background,
It's all fog.
all fog.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the top.
basically-
You
yeah.
couldn't.
That's so scary.
When I'm not an anxious person. The entire second half we were on. You needed hands and feet. It
Yeah.
was literally
all
climbing.
scramble. Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so scary.
And you could only see about a 5-foot radius around you because that's how dense the fog was. So when you got to the top and it started to feel like each leg weighed about like 500 pounds, and it was like you can't see the top. You can only see 5 feet around you, and then you started to think about how tired you were.
And you don't even know where the end is.
And I
'cause
don't
you can't
know.
see it.
I don't know where the
wow.
end is, and I can't see. And it's if you were someone that was a little more, I could see someone having like a panic attack or feeling almost claustrophobic.
Because you only see 5 feet
You
around
can-
you.
Because
you-
5 feet is not even this table.
No.
Yeah.
So we finally got to the top,
Wow.
and the fog was
Lot of
so
coffee.
intense that like we were standing there and saw nothing but this house, and all of a sudden a gust of wind came and like the clouds moved a little bit, and there was an entire building that
couldn't
we
see.
could not see 2 seconds earlier, just like
wow.
emerged,
Yep.
like from me to you, a fucking building.
Wow.
And it was crazy. But we couldn't, there's no way we could have gone down. It was so wet, so slippery. I mean, we had to climb through a waterfall. I'm definitely going to do it again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So it's
sign me up.
end of August, I think, is my.
Yeah, we went early August.
We go to. So yeah, I'm trying to kind of do them order, so in order, so I know what to expect. and my wife was the same. She's like, let's just do Washington. I'm like, we don't just jump into that and then do like the lower ones.
There's easier
after.
trails. Now I know
Yeah.
this. There's the Jewel Trail that starts higher, so you don't start from the bottom. We started from the bottom. We just didn't
Did you
know.
really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it, but yeah, it definitely tests your brain, your mental.
It's
To know that you're on top of a mountain by yourself, and you cannot go back. Tired and
How many people did you go up there with?
there's 3 of us.
Okay.
You're tired, you want to be done, and you want to quit, and you don't know how much longer you have, and you cannot turn around.
the fog part
That's a mindset
probably would have
right
messed
there.
me. So
Yeah.
when I did Mansfield, I did Mansfield in Vermont in September, and that's 4,400 feet. It was misleading because there was like false peaks
Oh,
where I'm just like, oh, that's
Yeah.
it, and then you get there and you're like, oh no,
no.
like there's like another, I don't know how much more, and it looks worse than before. So I can't, I push through, and I'm like, well, you get the high, you up there, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna do it. Paula, my wife, she's struggling. Not struggling physically, but she's like, I'm so hungry, because we brought lunch. I'm like, no, I'm not eating lunch till I get to the top. Like, I'm eating lunch. That's when I'm going to relax. If I relax now, I'm going to lose my motivation.
you're gonna be pissed.
And like, I'm eating lunch at the top. Like, that's just, I'm like, let's have some freaking peanuts or, whatever.
I know. I was going to say,
Yeah.
squeeze the peanut butter. We
Yeah.
had some
And
chopsticks.
we did all that, but she's just like, no, I need food. I need a freaking sandwich, but but the crazy part is that rush when you like accomplish those goals, and you touched on it before, like those non-scale goals. I mean, where it's like I felt drunk.
Yeah.
I got to the top. I started walking down. I'm like, I need a minute. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm wobbly legged, and it's not because they're weak. Like and the only other time I had that, and this is when I was still a little heavier, I did a 50-mile bike ride for MS. Tony Rossi was raising money for MS, and we did one through the Berkshires. And like I couldn't even tell you the last time I rode my bike more than a few miles at this point. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So I'm like doing some trainings, doing a few miles here, doing a few miles there. I'm like, yeah, I think I got this. I can do 10 miles, no problem. Let me tell you something. 50 miles on a bike in the Berkshires. And then even to top it off, he calls me. He's like, I drove the route. It doesn't look that bad. Not a lot of hills. I'm like, dude, it's the Berkshires.
It's all hills.
Like, I mean, I know it's not big mountains. Massachusetts isn't known for its big mountains, but
Not flat land.
it's not flat. He's like, it doesn't look that bad. I got out there. I'm like, not bad, huh? Like, we're dying. And so there was 2 things that drove me through finishing that. One was, I signed up, and it's just something I'm going to finish. So like, I don't care if it takes me 10 hours. Number 2, and I will add that I finished 3rd ahead of last. All right. There's people that started the 100-mile race and they finished before me.
That's okay.
But yeah, I finished, right?
You finished.
And so, but there was this guy. This guy must have been about 80. And I admire him because I just hope I can be on a bike riding a 50-mile race when I'm 80. Right. But this dude was taunting me. Like, he'd rip past us on his 10 speed that was just a little younger than he was. And then I'm like, a freaking old guy passes again. I'd come up, he'd sitting there on the side of the road eating a banana, just chilling, taking in the scenery. I'm like, oh, I got him this time. Nope, guy blow past me again.
That's what happens at the St. Patrick's Day race. When you're like dying up a hill, and like an 80-year-old in a tutu runs by you, and you're like,
Yeah.
I finished before him, only because the last time I saw him on that banana stop, I'm like, I only got 5 miles left. This guy ain't passing me. And it was like
It's go time.
It was a duel to the death, I think. Hopefully not for him. But
oh my God.
but it's like those physical, accomplishments, I mean, I look back at that, and that was 1,000% more of a mental game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once I got to a certain point, and I'm like, I realized that my mind was telling me more than anything that I could not go any further.
Yep.
And, it was just like climbing to the top of that mountain, where I'm like, well, I don't have another choice right now. Like, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to call someone and say, come pick me up with my bike. I'm just going to go. And I think that's, you know, to circle back, that's a lot of, you know, what we're talking about where, you know, it's well, mindset, you know, which again, we keep ending on it where it's like, well, I can't do this or I don't do this. Well, then it's time to make a change, you know, or just tell yourself like, you know, we're in complete control. Like as much as people want to say we can't, you know, or we won't, like this does everything that this tells us to.
100%.
How stupid or smart it is.
You know how many people are walking around in their own way? Like you see these people and you're like, you're doing that. Nobody else. And you can also fix it.
Right.
Nobody else. Like no one's coming to save you, you know, that whole like, And so it takes you know, your rock bottom for people rock bottom to me, it's when staying the same is actually more painful than changing. That to me is like what actual rock bottom is.
Right.
Like
the failure to progress.
Right.
Yeah. Just not moving forward. Yeah. Regardless of what it is. I mean, you know, fitness is one thing, but you know, there's just, you know, the monotony and the, like, you know, but the worst part about it for me is the victim or playing the victim where it's just like, oh, you know, woe was me. You know, this happened to me. No, this didn't happen to you. You happened to you. You know, believe me, you know, there are plenty of uncontrollable circumstances. The number one thing, and we talked about this before, you know, when we're upstairs, is how you react to those things that you can't control, you know, and then moving forward and just taking charge of your situation and what you do and how you move forward, and then everything else is in your control.
Right. Change is hard for people.
Yeah. So how does somebody look you up on Instagram? What's your
it's in search of wellness, but it's in _search_ of wellness.
And I'll put that in the links in the bios. So I want to kind of get into another subject. And I don't know if you know about this or not, but she also is trying to start a podcast.
You mentioned it in the onset, but
did you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it came up, but
so how close are we to that?
I have some equipment. I need to figure out a good spot in my house. I kind of want it to be like over a coffee. Like I want it to be like super, a little more intimate, a little more cozy.
You want the casual, like
casual,
the couches and yep.
Yeah. So I gotta figure some stuff out, but
sitting room type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you need a Brando, you know,
I mean,
canvas.
He's got like sound. I'm telling you, this is legit. This is a professional. Yeah, lights.
It's for rent, you know.
You can't. I know. What do you mean? I might just rent out your room.
Hey, I'll
just
take
the pictures
I'll take
and I'll
it.
hang mine up.
Whatever pays the bills.
Side
man.
hustle, right?
You know,
podcast studio for rent.
I tell everybody, you know, it's a progression, man. Like when we first started this, there was nothing on the walls. I didn't even have great lights. Our sound system sucked, and it was like.
There was a fish tank that sounded like people were peeing in the background.
That's awesome.
And sometimes we forget to shut it off, and then on.
You don't feel like that's like part of the that's part of the charm. I would have kept that.
It's like, is that guy pissing in the toilet for 2 hours?
Yeah, you can hear it, and then when I do the post edits, I'm like, oh my god, that's all I can hear. 'Cause I jack up my sound when I'm trying to edit, and I'm just like, oh my god. And so this thing changed my life right here. This thing made everything so much easier. It's the Podcaster Pro.
By Rode.
It does everything for me. Just based on your voice, it'll calibrate. Does everything for me. I have little sound effects there.
Yeah.
I can add. We haven't never used those.
It's got Bluetooth. You can call people on your phone.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
And we've done that a million times.
Yeah, we called my dad. That was the first time we tested it. My dad spends the winter in Florida, so we called him last year, and he it was during COVID. We called him to ask like what the COVID deal was, you know, because Florida was like the Wild West, at least, you know.
Yeah, it still is
per mainstream media. That, you know, so I called for actual validation. But yeah, no, that's been great. Yeah.
And it, you know, obviously it was an investment, but one of the things I was spending a lot of money on was stuff that I wasn't going to use. So I had the money at the time, so I'm like, let's just get something. And I had different mics. I had $100 swing arms, and it just didn't seem right. Like these are perfect. They're like $10. So
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. Yeah, the swing arms. I actually like this better.
Yeah. They're not in the way. You know, some of them were in the way based on how we had this. And this room's changed a bunch of times. We had the tables different ways. This seems to be the better setup, but it was a progression. You know.
Yeah.
The posters. You know, I tried to make the poster something like that. I'm close. Like I'm a big Christopher Walken fan, big Marlon Brando fan, and Jimi Hendrix. I mean, and Marilyn Monroe.
Didn't you have Lauryn Hill?
No, so I can't find
you couldn't find it. Okay.
Lauryn Hill. That's
maybe it's because we talked about it so much.
Yeah. I was actually on Amazon earlier in the week, and but some of the you know, I ever looked to see who it's sold by. Sketchy. It was like 50 alphabet letters. I'm like, that's gonna get my credit card stolen.
Yeah.
That's the same. It's the same guy who told me I inherited a bunch of money from a Nigerian
Oh, is it
prince.
the same Eversource that called us on telling them we owe like $900 and we
yeah.
needed to go to a kiosk and get money and deliver it now?
Yeah, send it in
them.
Bitcoin or something.
Eversource takes Bitcoin. Yeah.
Through Zelle. It was Zelle.
Oh, yeah.
Zelle,
I didn't
yeah.
even know that one. You don't even know. I like canceled my day. I was freaking out. They're going to shut off our electricity.
Oh my God.
Something dawned on us to be like, wait a minute. You know, we're sitting there looking at each other going, it gets automatically deducted.
I don't know anything. Yeah.
So how much more stuff do you need for the podcast? How close are you?
I gotta like set it all up and see what else and see like what works if it works to just start, you know, because honestly, I'm a big fan of just starting. I don't like to wait till I have everything. I'm really working on this. Like it's progress, not perfection.
Yep.
Because if you wait for having all of the perfect shit, how long are you gonna wait for? You might as well just start. Get the shitty stuff out of the way with the shitty stuff. See what you
fail
need.
fast and adjust.
Yeah, and that's what we did. That's what we did. And everything
fail
came
fast
in.
and adjust because you might, like you said, you had a bunch of shit that you didn't need, you know, and you could have redirected it, but but it's tough to do that. Like I only feel 50% ready, but I'm just gonna go do this, you know. But then you learn real damn quick the things that you didn't need and the things that you do need.
Yeah,
you know, and so maybe the first couple are a flop, you know, by your own standards, but you can. What do you call it? You know, scale up really quick because you immediately know where your faults were.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the premise of the podcast?
I don't know. You know what? I'm a little biased. I'd like to talk to women. No offense.
Hey, no, that's fine.
I think it's going to be a more of like a working mom balance kind of thing. That's where it gets a little tricky because it's like you're going to run out of friends to interview.
That's happened.
Do you
to
ever
us.
podcast by yourself? I mean, you guys have a pretty good.
Yeah, so we not by myself.
We've done a few, just the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll happen more as we can't get guests.
Yeah.
We've done it enough where we know where we need to what sandbox we need to play in.
Yeah.
So me and him are pretty well rounded. We can touch on a lot of
We
subjects.
touch on random topics. Like I can't even remember like what we talked about. You know, we've done a handful of them.
Yeah.
You know, we just kind of, I wouldn't say ramble, but you know, we touch on a whole bunch of things. Sometimes it's past guests, sometimes it's future guests, sometimes it's just what's going on in the week. But you know, I think that the direction you headed in a lot of even just talking about, you know, the nutrition mindset and everything like that, and the, you know, societal impacts. I mean, there's
So much. I know you could
it's
go on for
unlimited
Yeah.
content. I mean, I don't think it's anything that you want to just go solo about, and you know, because then you become like, you know, pontificate. You're preaching, you know. But just having that conversation, and I know you said you like, you know, talking to women, but I think, and I'm just off the top of my head, having guys' point of view on it.
Yeah.
You know, like
I'm not opposed to it. It's just that, you know, you want to find a way to make it like kind of different. Like there's so many, I don't know.
See, the problem is there's like there's hundreds of thousands of podcasts now, right? Especially after COVID, that became a thing. I couldn't even find equipment at first on Amazon.
Right.
I mean, literally, I would be on there every day. You'd find one, and it was like you didn't order that day. At that exact minute, 5 minutes later, the stuff was gone.
Right.
So, you know, I try not to pigeonhole, and I'm not saying that you need to do this, but I really try not to pigeonhole myself into one particular arena.
Yeah.
But then the other problem is some guests. Like, so everybody always says, well, I'm not interesting. I got nothing good to say. And, and we laugh at that because once we finally get them on,
Yeah.
the first like 15 minutes or so is a little tough for them because they have this version of what the podcast is going to look like. Then they get done. They're like, this is the best thing I've ever done.
It's that mental thing again. Like, all we did was sit around and talk for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it was like totally effortless. We just had to wear headphones.
Yep.
It's so bizarre. Like, I have a friend of mine who I've been trying to get on here since Jeff started this. To me, he's one of the most interesting people I know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he gets into the most interesting situations. He's had a hamburger or a sandwich named after him at a restaurant in Amherst, because he ordered something a certain way and he just has his personality. It's like, oh no, then it was on the menu. He recently got me like backstage to meet like some people at like these iconic rock musicians, at a concert, just because it was somebody, like 3 times removed. He met an acquaintance, and next thing you know, he kind of got us all invited to do this. Like, it's absolutely bizarre. He met Adam Sandler, at like a race that was being sponsored by a place he works for.
That's pretty cool.
And he got like Adam Sandler like took a selfie with him, like not the other way around. I'm like, you don't think you're interesting? Like, dude, I'm not interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I just, spill bullshit and shit that I might have read. And dude, you have like really cool stories. Nah, I don't have anything to talk about. I'm like, how can you say this?
The trick is just starting, right?
I think my hang up too is that I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, I want to be able to be like, talk about everything.
Sure. So anyways, just starting that podcast and just being honest about, I think that's the thing. Like, I'm fairly honest and I throw a lot of stuff out there. I think the response has been pretty good. Like, I have some people who send hate mail every now and then, which I find hilarious. Like, I don't know what kind of banter they think I'm going to go back and forth with them, but it's, but we just had somebody, Bill last week, said that was their first podcast they ever watched and they gave us a thumbs up. So it's like anything, I think getting people to understand that even though I'm not making any money off this, it's still a small business for me, right? So having my friends, and I have like a lot of my closest friends still won't come on the podcast because they're so worried about whatever. And I said, guys, we don't have to talk about all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even what we want to do to begin with.
I wouldn't make anybody else do that. But for me, if I was going to do it, I eventually do want to get to a spot where I can talk about it. It's important to me. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why I poked you a little bit when I was like, so you think it was the diet stuff that you saw, like that change in me? Because it was not. It was the fact that I had the room in my life to actually give attention to something I was passionate about. Because I've always had that in me, but it was the things going on were so consuming that I was not able to be that person.
Sure.
So I think, and I can't wait till I'm, I don't know that I'll ever be that far out where like I'm not affected, but I still do want to have the conversation with other women because it took me so long to understand that's what was going on, that I just like diet culture being so important to me, like that conversation's super important to have.
I'm a big fan about women empower women. My wife finally has somebody who, like a mentor for her, and I've seen the changes in her over the last few years. So, whatever it takes, like just start it, right?
Yeah.
And, even if it's in the corner of a living room and you got 2 mics and you're just chilling out, it'll morph on its own. Like every video that you watch, because I watch these things from beginning to end, and I'm like, I just write notes to myself, like I got to change this, I got to fix this, like the crookedness on the pictures at one time.
Oh, it drove me crazy for a while.
Oh my God, we couldn't get them right. So finally, I came down here with a laser. I got it all done. Like I'm not dealing with it anymore. But it's just starting and having those conversations, and you just find what your niche is. So all right, Kim, we're gonna wrap this up. So again, throw it out there. What your Instagram? How do people get a hold of you?
_search_ of wellness on Instagram. And all right. I have everything there. Link in the bio. As far as coaching, it gives the link tree. You click on it and it gives the information about what coaching entails. It gives all of that information. You can also just DM me and ask for information. We can set up a discovery call and go through everything. Yeah. And I'm pretty honest too. If you're somebody that I know that I can help, then I'm all in. If you're somebody that I know I cannot help, I am always super honest about that too, because in the end of the day, I want to help people.
Yep.
So
Perfect.
that's it.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, and I think you got to come back on after your
Yeah.
strongwoman competition.
Totally.
I pick things up. I put them down. I love it. That's a huge milestone. I'm proud of you for that.
Jeff, I'll pick you up and put you down.
I'm scared about that.
Farmers carry.
All right, Brett, hit him with the
Yeah, the usual endorsement.
Yeah.
Always promote the family business, IQ Inc. And embroidery, fulfilling all your screen printing and embroidery needs, from everything from 1 to 10,000 shirts. You think it, we ink it. That's a slogan I came up with a bunch of years ago, so we'll roll with it.
perfect. Any other plugs?
IQ-Inc.com. Sorry,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Facebook as IQ Inc.
Anything else you want to plug?
No, that's it.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
So we give everybody the peace sign when we stop. So, all right, guys. As always, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh.